Another area is in challenging ourselves to dispel myths and not to perpetuate false stereotypes. We often talk about the Haitian worker in the Bahamas as a low-wage worker, and again, as a menial worker. And we completely ignore, or we create the perception that all Haitians in the Bahamas are low-wage workers or stricken with poverty, when we fail to recognize that there is a large community of middle-class Haitians in the Bahamas, as well as upper-class Haitians in the Bahamas. And Haitians, just like all other nationality groups, span the spectrum of economic power or economic status, for lack of a better way to phrase that. So we, and all of these things are tied together: language, context, stereotypes and myths, but they create, they are barriers to achieving Haitian Bahamian solidarity. They are the, they are counter to this engagement of a process of Haitian Bahamian solidarity. So I think these are things that need to be constantly examined, and it's an individual process and it's also a collective process. So what does, when we're talking about Haitian Bahamian solidarity, you know, you could ask a question, well, what does this look like? You know, what is it that what is Haitian Bahamian solidarity, right? Just beyond what it means to you, what is it? Now, I'm not going to project a sort of, I'm not going to project very far into the future or even articulate a vision of some end point, because I don't think Haitian Bahamian solidarity is something that is something to be achieved as a final state of reality then. Meaning, I think I see it as a process. I see it as a process. So it's not something that, okay, this is what it looks like, and when we achieve that, then we would have achieved Haitian Bahamian solidarity. It's going to be a constant process of engagement as we grow as communities together, right? But I can say that we engage in the process of solidarity when we check ourselves. And I think that's one of the most important things, when we check ourselves. If you leave here and you never refer to your gardener as my Haitian, that is a manifestation of Haitian Bahamian solidarity. If you challenge someone, or if you yourself refrain from exaggeration and myths, and myth-making, that is a manifestation of Haitian Bahamian solidarity. We hear all too often these claims that Haitians are taking over the country, Haitians are eating up our resources, Haitians this, Haitians that. And these are all myths. These are all exaggerations. These are all non-factual, illogical, prejudiced statements that basically, like I said, are the opposite or antithesis to Haitian Bahamian solidarity. So when we refrain from these things, we're engaging in that process. And when we encourage our community, our children, our parents, our relatives, our colleagues, our brothers and sisters, this is engaging in Haitian Bahamian solidarity. When we err on the side of tolerance rather than intolerance, that is engaging in Haitian Bahamian solidarity. There is so much that we know nothing of and claim to or feel as though we are entitled to speak about and speak freely about, when the fact of the matter is we are truly ignorant of. And one of these things that is most often is very commonly spoken about is the voodoo culture of the Haitian people and of African people. When Bahamians know little to nothing about voodoo culture, and what they do know is so influenced by Christian colonial worldview, Christian colonial babble, that even what you purport to know is actually far from the reality. So we need to engage ourselves in this process of challenging ourselves for things that we're ignorant of, challenging ourselves to be educated, and not just educated in a way, and educated beyond, or in the process of educating ourselves, being conscious of these influences. Information always comes with a perspective and a point of view, right? So when we educate ourselves, we have to always be conscious of who is this source of information? What perspective is this information sharing? Is this furthering to my ignorance, or is this furthering my enlightenment? And tying that in, like I said, erring on the side of tolerance rather than on the side of intolerance. So these are just some of my thoughts as to what Haitian Bahamian solidarity means to me. For me, it's a very personal process, because I think it starts by doing things that you yourself are capable of doing, or you yourself have control over, because each and every one of us perpetuate the ignorance, perpetuate the intolerance, perpetuate the insensitivity, perpetuate the contempt that is bred in the community when we take on certain points of view, or take on certain actions, and fail to engage in a process of self-examination.